Welcome to the NAMB Podcast, where we bring you the voices that drive the mortgage industry. Join dynamic hosts Ginger Bell and Matt Shields as they dive into bold conversations with top experts, industry leaders, and change makers from across the country. From insider insights to game-changing trends, this is your front row seat to what's happening right now in the world of home finance.
Well, hi there. Welcome to another episode of the NAMB Podcast. My name is Ginger Bell, and I have my co-host with me today, Matt Shields. Matt, I know you're excited for our guest today.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's great to be here with you, but we have a rock star, we have a legend in the mortgage space here, and our audience is going to love everything he has to say today. So I'm so excited for our conversation.
Absolutely. So let's introduce our guest today, Dave Savage, who is the founder of MortgageCoach and a legend in the industry. And so I know, Dave, I remember back when I used to go to the conferences and I would see you walking down the hall and I would be like fandom. It's like, oh my gosh, there's a rock star, there's Dave. And you really have that about you. And I know it's a very humbleness that you have about you, but I just want you to know how much we appreciate everything you've done in the industry. And I know part of that is in founding MortgageCoach. So thanks for being our guest today.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to do it. This is my 40th year serving the mortgage industry. The first 10-ish, I was a loan officer and operator, and now for almost 30 years, been building tech in the industry and loving every minute of it.
Yeah, and tech is our conversation today. So this podcast will be released the month of July, and that is our Technology Month at NAMB National. And so we thought no one better than you to be able to talk about that. And of course, we absolutely appreciate TrustEngine for being an industry partner for NAMB and giving all the support that they do. So a big shout out there as well. But I'm going to kick off with a question that I know is very near and dear to your heart. And so you often talk about creating financial advisors rather than order takers, right? And so what does that look like in today's market?
Well, I think the North Star of advice versus price is financial freedom lending, that I call it. And so most loan officers, the bullseye is to win the loan. First, they got to get a social security number so they can run credit. And then it's transactional. They show a fee worksheet, here's your rate, here's your payment, and they compete on price. And by the way, that's not going away. That is still a thing. But when I think of advice, it's the loan officer that's obsessed with helping a consumer achieve financial freedom with homeownership. And so that would be a little different conversation with someone who's renting and a first-time home buyer versus someone that owns a home. And now it's like, hey, how do we optimize your debt, your equity, your assumptions around what's happening in the market, your goals? Like, is your goal to move up to a bigger home? Is your next goal a second home? But an advisor is all about financial freedom. I want you to own homes and as many as you want to achieve your goals and a financial freedom. And that's just not how most loan officers approach the business. And so it's a mindset. And then there's a lot of skill that goes along with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, one other thing is I truly believe, and I did a LinkedIn post on this, that when a loan officer is an advisor and they're playing the financial freedom lending game, they actually increase the size of the market. Like if you look at, for over 50 years, the market's been created by interest rates. They come down, the market goes up. But if you are literally optimizing your database and optimizing every consumer on financial freedom, there'll be more loans. It could be a lot more loans.
Yeah. Well, and you said something that's very critical right now is optimizing your database. And I was on a call the other day and someone shared a statistic that about 28% of loan officers in our industry use their CRM.
Did you say 20%?
28.
28. So by the way, that's up because the numbers I've heard in the years past have been like in the teens.
But that's crazy when you think about it, because, and I mean, and that's the whole thing you're talking about, optimizing your database, right? And so, and there's lots of ways that you can do that. And I know, Matt, you and your team do that in a lot of different ways, right?
Yeah, and what everything that Dave mentioned, it's like to stand out, you're bringing value. You're bringing value, you're being that advisor, and that's what stands out to the consumer. And then as a business where we get referrals, the more you're that advisor, the more you're bringing that value. Now your business is going to grow. You're going to have raving fans as clients who are going to pass your name out to everybody. So that originator who's not trying to be that advisor, like Dave's saying, they're really just missing the boat right now on endless opportunities in front of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Dave, I got a question for you here. You've been at the forefront of mortgage technology for decades. You've been the trailblazer in the space. So what technologies do you believe will have the biggest impact on lenders over the next 5 years?
Well, there's no doubt over the next 5 years, it is AI. And we're still in the first-ish inning of the AI transformation that's taking place where, and most loan officers are using it. I've got a LinkedIn post that I'm getting ready to publish that I wrote over the weekend, but I had interviewed Scott Brown a couple weeks ago, which, by the way, Ginger, he's a Portland guy, and he was the former chief futurist for Intel for like 6-ish years. Most recently, he was with DeepMind for Google, working on AI. And then he recently came out with this book called The AI Ultimatum.
Fun, yeah.
By the way, he's a super cool guy. But he was talking about how like, hey, everybody's using it as a tool right now. And for most loan officers, I think they're using it for like Google for loan officers. They're asking underwriting questions. They're doing
Marketing
research.
things, yeah.
Then they're creating content. Like it is a writing assistant, almost to a point where, you can see
Overkill.
that it's AI.
Yeah.
And if a consumer can see AI, like I believe that your trust is never static. You're either growing your trust or you're losing your trust.
Right.
And when writing with AI by itself is not going to lose trust, but if a consumer senses that this is AI generated content, it's, noise at a minimum and it's losing trust at a maximum. But what Steve makes the case of, and what I think we're going to see our industry do a more effective job over the next 5 years, is using it as a team member. It's using agents, using AI to automate. And for every loan officer listening to this, everything that can be automated will be automated. Like that's just gonna happen. It is happening. And I think for anyone that's listening to this, that you're referral based, you're local, your job could be easier than ever because you have these AI team members. But the part of your job being authentic, connecting, being present, being someone whose advice makes a difference in an AI era, like that's where the magic is. So I think it's a big opportunity, but I do think that's the big tech shift happening right now.
Yeah. And with that, because you look at, here's all these different things with AI technology, right? How really do you see, not even just AI, but just technology in general, really changing the role of the loan officer rather than replacing it? Because people always talk about that. Oh, I'm going to be replaced. And that's not going to happen. It's like when the internet came along. At the time, I was a corporate trainer at Dale Carnegie Training, and I remember everyone going, "Oh my gosh, there's going to be no more salespeople are going to be gone. We're not going to have any more salespeople." And it's like, we know that didn't happen, right? So the same thing with AI. It's like, AI, you're not going to be replaced. But how do you see technology changing the role of the loan officer rather than replacing it?
Well, I think the role of a loan officer is it's a different product. When you can do the type of automation that you can on a transaction, closing the loan is not the differentiator. Now, like when I got in this business 40 years ago as a broker, figuring out underwriting guidelines, helping people, that took like a really smart, hardworking
binder. You'd pull
human
out
being.
the binder.
And that was the product, was closing a loan. But the product going forward is being a trusted human being that can help me, as a consumer, make the most informed decision possible and achieve my hopes and dreams with real estate. And so I think one, going beyond the transaction, I've been using that phrase, beyond the transaction, for a long time, and then being more valuable to consumers. So we talked about CRM. We need to go beyond personalization and deliver an individualized, like, just because the email has the person's name in it and it's part of a campaign, and the same 1,000 people are getting the same message with their name, like, individualization, like, use data so that you can tell people, like, I've got a database of 1,000 people. They all have a little bit of a different goal, different assumptions. So my ability to individualize my marketing and my messaging is important. And then one of the things we're working on at MortgageCoach, and not working on, we're doing, is that when you have all that data and that information, you can literally, with an AI prompt, create a MortgageCoach presentation, which is a consumer experience. And so that's the other thing you're seeing, especially with AI, like, it can create really beautiful, custom, personalized, individualized messages with a prompt. And so I think those are the trends. Those are what's changing from a loan officer's perspective. And then there's a lot of customer things that I think are changing on the customer side, what they expect and what they can do.
Yeah, that's definitely changing a lot. You brought in as far as MortgageCoach. And so for our listeners, I'd really like to, and not obviously getting into a whole thing as far as everything, but what problem does MortgageCoach solve that maybe lenders don't always, or brokers don't always realize that they have?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been well known for decades now
Right.
for being a conversion tool, something that helps a loan officer deliver a differentiated experience to the consumer. And it's how many credit reports versus fundings, and being a conversion tool. And nothing's changed with that. I think, the people, they think they know what MortgageCoach is, but they don't. We've become much more individualized. So even you want to give a loan off a consumer a fee worksheet, just one program, here's your rate, here's your payment, with a digital experience, we got you. You want to make a MortgageCoach with an AI prompt, we got you. So I think, the problem we solve is advice at scale. Like, if you want to deliver price with advice at scale, it will improve your conversion rates. It will reduce your price concessions and your rate shopping. And that's the heart of it.
You're absolutely right. Because if you show a presentation, you're bringing that value, you're being that trusted advisor, they're way less likely to call another lender for another rate. But if you give them just one rate, the first thing they're going to do is go call somebody else and see what their rate is. And that's such a big one for our originators as they're building a business. It's like, guys, if you want to keep that client sticky, use MortgageCoach, use Dave's tools. Like, they're there for a reason. This is help you to be the best originator you can be.
Yeah. And by the way I answered that question was, what problem do we solve for the loan officer? But I think the more important problem that we solve is for the consumer. And right now, consumers are overwhelmed. There's never been more information, and AI has only accelerated the overwhelm in the information. So in consumers, whether they're a first-time home buyer or a move-up buyer, they're like, should I do it now or should I wait? Or especially with move-up buyers, you've got a lot of move-up buyers, they have a lot of equity, but they're like, how do I buy before I sell? How do I, should I do it this year or next year? And so I think the problem we solve for consumers is going from overwhelmed and confused to clear and confident about what I should do. And I do think that's what loan officers need to do. It sounds easy. It is easy, but not enough loan officers are doing it.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to the next question, because it's doing what you need to do to make a difference. What do you see as far as the biggest difference between those high performing loan officers or originators and the average originators when it comes to technology adoption. And so, we're at this critical state right now with AI, having great tools available like MortgageCoach. It's already implemented a lot of that AI. What do you see the difference between those two?
Well, first of all, let's put the loan officers in 3 buckets instead of just 2.
Okay.
Let's struggling, not hitting my goals, and that could be really struggling. Like, you're not even closing a loan a month, and that could be 3 loans a month is not, killing it. And then you have loan officers, they've got great careers, whether they're closing 5 loans on average a month, let's just say less than 10 loans a month. But that's a group, like I'm hitting my goals, I'm doing it. And then you have people that are doing 20 loans a month. They're like, they've built teams. So I do want to make sure there's a delineation
Yeah.
of 3 different groups. And the difference between struggling and just you got a good career is in many cases it's not how many hours you say you're working, it's what you're doing in those hours. And the people that are winning, like, it is not rocket science. Like, they are talking to new people, they're winning by noon with their prospecting. They've got a great borrower experience that has a great conversion. And I know a lot of loan officers that are up 40%, 60% over last year.
Mm.
And because they have a great process and they're doing it consistently, they're winning. So that's the difference between just winning and losing. And then the difference between taking it to that next level,
Right.
it's team leadership. They're becoming great leaders. They've got well thought out systems. They have teammates, and they're good at getting the right people in, managing a team, and scaling, into a mega team.
Yeah, which is what Matt's doing. I mean, he's really been doing a fabulous job in creating a team. And you do that through leadership, right?
Right. Yeah. Although I'll make the case that leadership is also a very big difference between people that are not hitting their goals and struggling and individual LOs that are just, they've got great careers, they're achieving what they want. Leadership, while technology is the theme of the month and it has transformed the world. Like when I look at what it looked like before there was an iPhone, and I still remember what it was like before there was internet. Like, technology has changed the world, but leadership is what really drives the adoption of that technology and drives the success with that technology.
Absolutely. And Ginger, thank you for saying that. And Dave, I just love everything you're saying too. And that's what I'm trying to instill in the people on my team is how can we bring value? How can you stand out? How can you not be a commodity? Let's do a presentation for everybody, custom. It has to be a custom tailored experience to them if you want to stand out and be that advisor for life. So it makes me feel good that we're kind of doing some stuff that you're out here talking about today. It makes me know we're going in the right direction. You know what I mean?
You are doing it all right, my friend.
Thank you. And got a little fun game for us here towards the end. Got a little lightning round action. So
let's go.
Let's go, man. All right, so let's just hop in and get started. So first one, AI or CRM?
AI.
AI. Video or email?
Video. You can never misspell a word with video. And by the way, what AI is doing with CRMs, I mean, I'm not going to say you don't need a CRM, but what a CRM is and how it interacts with AI has changed.
Absolutely. Phone call or text?
It's 2026. Text, baby. I mean, if you don't have someone's mobile number and you aren't in a text relationship, you aren't in a relationship.
Amen to that. And now we're going to switch over to more question-based. Biggest productivity app?
My biggest productivity app in 2025, which has truly transformed my job, like I'm more efficient, I'm more effective, I like what I do more than ever, is Whisperflow. It's a text, voice to text app that you install on your desktop and your laptop. And it's super accurate. It uses AI. So like if I'm texting John, it will know, and his name is spelled Jon, it will know his spelling. But like, I like live on that thing. And so I always tell people you got to have AI and have it plugged into all your technology, but then you voice text with whisper flow is my personal biggest productivity hack in the past year.
Oh, thank you for that. I'm going to use that. Thank you
Yeah,
for
right
saying
on.
that. Most underrated technology.
That's a hard one for me because I don't know what's underrated. You know, I
Right.
guess because only less than 30% of people use their CRM and it's completely career changing. But I really think we need to get away from just the word CRM. It's about turning your database into lifelong committed relationships, and you're managing mortgages to do that.
I love that.
And I would have said mortgage coach because we don't have 30% market share yet. But it's not underrated. I mean,
Not
everybody that
underrated.
has it
Amen
knows
to
it.
that. Yeah, no, amen to that.
Underutilized.
Yeah.
Underutilized. That's a good way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That is the most underutilized uh, tech because it's career changing, and we're like 10% market share.
Absolutely. Biggest technology mistake that lenders make.
Playing with technology versus institutionalizing technology. Like when you roll out a piece of tech, you're barely on first base. It's a process. It takes time. It takes commitment. It takes measurement of how you're getting adoption and then taking action on that, but not really, managing it in 1 and 2 year cycles and institutionalizing versus just playing with it. Yeah, we rolled it out. We got it on the list. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we have that. You check.
Right. You have it, but there's no implementation at all. No.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even at all, but
Yeah.
just the consistent, systematic, institutional, like create culture around, whatever tech you build into your tech stack. It needs to become a cultural standard if you want to optimize.
Absolutely. What's one book every mortgage professional should read?
Well, The Challenger Sale is my all-time favorite book. But whenever I mentor people, whether it's someone new in the business, someone's existing in the business, the Four Agreements is, to me, one of the most important emotional IQ books that people should read. And I think it's great for salespeople and a book everybody should read. And if I'm mentoring someone, I usually start with, oh, you haven't read that? Read it, and then we'll talk about it.
I love that. I love that. What's one habit that's made you successful?
Never giving up. Like I am honey badger is my spirit animal, and not being afraid to
Love it.
call, text, email. If you don't ask, you don't get. But just that honey badger doesn't give a shit, doesn't give up.
Yeah. Love it. That's the mindset. And last one I got for you on the lightning round. If every loan officer adopted one daily habit, what would it be?
How you start your morning is everything. If there was one daily habit, it's like go to bed at the right time in the right state of mind so that you wake up, have morning protocols that you do consistently. And then, of course, once you're awake and you're at work, a mortgage coach a day will, at least one a day will make you very successful.
I love it. I love it.
That's awesome. And it's one of those things too. It's not just having that habit, but using it, right? And making it become a habit and repeating it. And that's part of what Mortgage Coach really is to where this becomes a part of your business, a part of what you're using, a part of your conversations, a part of that trust. And that trust is so critical. And so we've talked a little bit about AI, conversations, how to use that. And I want to look ahead. We're having this conversation 3 years from now. AI is more involved. what do you think we'll be talking about? And I really want to focus on trust because I think that that is critical in the stage that we're in right now. So, what does our conversation about trust look like 3 years from now?
So, first of all, I think trust is the battlefield today, and I think it will be an even bigger battlefield 3 years and 5 years from now. And the differentiator between the companies that are growing that have high stock prices and those that are going down, and loan officers that are winning and losing. So first of all, 3 years from now, the majority of consumers will be AI powered consumers. And they will have gone from using it as a toy and just a search engine to they will have, they'll be team members. And if they're getting a mortgage or they're buying a home, they've got a project, they've got agents doing research on their behalf, they're extremely well informed. And so, first of all, we will be talking, and by the way, the battlefield will have been played, like it won't be over. It's never too late to get it together and play the game like a pro. But the pros will just be killing it, and they'll be using AI to create amazing customer experiences. They'll be, using it to be at the right place at the right time, to have the right conversation. And by the way, it'll be incredibly compelling to the consumer because they'll have charts and graphs. It'll be interactive. This local loan officer will be able to put a video on it. By the way, that local loan officer will likely also have an avatar that will be very hard to distinguish between AI and
You think
consumer.
so? Yeah.
But here's one thing: trust, like I said, takes a long time to build. You can lose it, and I do think between disclosure and just you want to win trust, you can use AI, but just make sure you're disclosing it and make sure that you're using it in a way that creates a more valuable relationship for the consumer. And by the way, how do you do that? You help them build wealth with real estate and achieve their dreams. Like help their kids get into real estate and play the
Yeah.
game. So it'll all be about trust. It'll be about using technology. But I think the thing that will be different is that like consumers will not only have it, they'll be really effective with it. They'll be finding their loan officers, vetting their loan officers, preparing for their conversations. They'll be taking that transcript of the Zoom session. Right now, loan officers are doing that. They're Zooming it, they're transcribing it, they're sharing it with the consumers. But the consumers will already be doing that. Like all that will be in here. And so just a much more sophisticated consumer, which means the loan officer has to do a great job of just being a great human being.
Love that.
Using technology.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I want to leave with one final question. I think when we were preparing for this, Matt, you really had a good one that talked about the trust and what's happening with that. So if you wanted to go ahead and to leave, well, I'm going to let you ask one final question as far as, and it might relate to, because we talked about the trust already a little bit, but might relate to in terms of building a team. And so, those are kind of things, because you've been building a team. And so what's the biggest thing, Matt, that Dave can answer for you as far as your team and helping you to build your team?
Yeah, so I'm trying to stay on the forefront. I'm trying to be hip to what's coming down the pipe so that I'm able to get them ready and be there for them. As AI is improving, a struggle that I'm always going to have as a producer slash mentor slash manager is I'm producing but helping the team. What are some tips you could give me as I'm growing the team, but also growing my business so they can trust that I'm always going to be there for them? So how could I be using AI or tech to make sure I'm still there helping my team grow their business and giving them the time they need?
So a couple pillar philosophies are just lead by example. So for any producing manager on here, whatever you want your team to do, like be the leader by example. Like when I interviewed Shant Benoshian, the #1 loan officer in America, and I've interviewed a lot of people that have really scaled. They are doing weekly trainings, and it's sometimes multiple trainings. Sean, I don't know if he's still doing. He's doing 3 and 4 trainings a week. So be there, be present. I mean, I think it goes without saying. Well, maybe it doesn't go without saying because not everybody is a servant leader, but be responsive to your people. Like, be there for them to solve their problems, lead by example. And then you take a technology like MortgageCoach, you've got to institutionalize that and include your team in that. Have a team that adopts that technology, whatever it is, your CRM. And then it's up to you as the leader to hold the standards. A lot of people think accountability and holding standards is just being mean, being tough, beating people down. No, it's just being consistent and asking the question. Oh, I noticed that you sent over this lead ready and it didn't have a mortgage coach. Why not? Oh, why not? Oh, I noticed that we had a meeting with the Jones family and it's still not in our CRM. Why not? It's holding a standard through consistency and questions.
I love that. I love the way you said that too. Why not?
Yeah, and not why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Like I want to know, like, what's
Yeah.
up?
No, I really like that. Thank you so much for your tip. I'm really going to take that to heart and just appreciate you very much for being here and, getting to pick the brain of an icon in the business. I feel very privileged to be here with you and Ginger right now.
It's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's a lot of it. It's just the mentoring, Dave, is so important. And that's why everything that Matt is doing and heading up the young professionals. So being able to provide that mentorship. And I know you've done that for so many in the industry as well. And so we appreciate that. So guys, we're going to go ahead and close it out. So Dave, thank you so much. Wealth of information, so many nuggets here. And Matt, always thank you. For those of you who are not familiar with MortgageCoach, you can find out more at NAMB.com, NAMB.org.com, and we're under our industry partners, or you can go to TrustEngine and find out more about MortgageCoach. And so thank you so much again, Dave. Hey, subscribe. We have a new episode every single week, and you can find us on the NAMB Podcast, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the NAMB Podcast, brought to you by the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. For more episodes, resources, and guest interviews, visit nambpodcast.com. Don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you soon.